So good morning, everyone. My name is Tony Danziga, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Global Business Chat. I'm one of the directors of the Hudson Gateway Association of Realtors and the co-chair of our Global Business Council. Our mission is to provide our members with tools and resources to connect globally with real estate professionals around the world. So one of the ways we do this is through innovative programming, like our Global Business Chat series, which is now in its third year. In this series, we don't really focus on market statistics or real estate investment trends. I like to imagine our Global Business Chat as like a little mini CIPS class. We dig a little deeper and we focus on a narrower subject. The goal is to provide important practical information about how a global real estate transaction works. Not that you'll become an expert, but so that you could just become more literate and aware when you're dealing with clients. To the extent that we can in a one short hour session that we have, we dissect the anatomy of a global real estate transaction in the countries that we feature. We explore the steps of the real estate transaction, the closing process, and the unique legal or tax requirements that you should at least be aware of. We've traveled to every continent over the last 3 years, and today we're going to focus on the real estate transaction in Taiwan. We'll be joined by our guest, Jack Wang, who will first walk us through the process of a real estate transaction in Taiwan. And then we're going to spend some time taking your questions at the end. Before we begin, please switch your phone or computer to mute and just hold your questions until the end. You can leave questions in the chat box anytime, and we'll try to work them into our discussion if we can. But right now, please welcome our guest, Jack Wang, who is currently serving as the executive director of FIAPSI Taiwan. He is also the director of the Chinese Real Estate Arbitration Association. Mr. Wang, thanks so much for joining us. And please take a moment to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background to our guests.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Good morning, everybody, and good evening, everybody. I'm Jack Wang from Taiwan. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. You can see my education is before, and I have an EMBA in mainland China, Beijing University, Guanghua School of Management. I'm work for real estate industrial for 28 years ago. So now I'm director and the CEO of EI Taiwan Master Franchise and FIAPSI Executive Director Taiwan and the CCM International Activity Committee. Before I worked for CCM from 2017 to 2020 President Taiwan CCM Association. And also I'm honorary President of Taipei Association of Real Estate Broker. And in meanwhile, I'm the fifth chairman of Chinese Real Estate Agent Transaction Guarantee Foundation. So, and the director and the chairman of the Foreign Related Arbitration, Chinese Real Estate Arbitration Association, and from now. So it's my education and my experience. So thank you for everybody to listening.
Thank you, Mr. Wang. And that's exactly what we're looking for, your education and your experience. That's why you're here. And I'd like to thank, first of all, Susan Greenfield and Lily Chang for helping to bring us together with you and putting this program together. And today, of course, we're joined by many people from Toronto and Miami and New Jersey, from Portugal, from different parts of the United States, from Illinois. So we all have varied backgrounds, and we want to discuss the process of the real estate transaction. We have a client, they're interested in investing in Taiwan. We need to be able to advise our clients in some capacity. We need to be educated. We need to be able to communicate with them in a professional manner. So walk us through the real estate process in Taiwan. First of all, who do we talk to? Who do we work with? Is there a licensing body? Is there a difference between a licensed professional and a non-licensed professional? What do we encounter when we're in Taiwan?
Yes, if someone wants to engage in real estate business in Taiwan, he or she must participate in government's sponsored course and exam and obtain a license. So in Taiwan, we have also like American the license. So we have agent and brokers. Yeah, two kinds.
And the process of finding a property here in America, many people may start looking on different websites like Zillow or Trulia. They'll reach out to a real estate professional who has access to the MLS. We have a search engine that basically has a huge data source of information. How does that work in Taiwan? Where do we get our data? Where do we find our listings in Taiwan? How do you help us with that?
Okay. Currently, in Taiwan, we don't have a MLS system in Taiwan, but each real estate company has its own listing website. Currently, the largest listing website is 591. It's a technology company like Zero in USA. So now EI Taiwan, Century 21 Taiwan, Fengjia University GIS Center, and the Snowbridge Company. We are using blockchain technology to establish entrance protect a listing platform that strengthens transaction security. So it is now we have the blockchain technology in Taiwan.
Great. And so if I have a client that's interested in investing in Taiwan, for example, not really sure where, maybe Taipei, maybe Kaohsiung, obviously there are two different parts of the island. That may be two different people we'd be working with, right? We might be working with different real estate agents that focus on different areas of Taiwan.
Yeah.
And once we get to the point of identifying the property, because that's what I really want to focus on now. Once we've identified the property that we're interested in purchasing, I guess we have to ask ourselves, are we allowed to purchase, before we even do that, are we allowed to purchase properties in Taiwan as foreigners?
Yes. So in Taiwan, we can have many websites to let our consumer to searching each real estate company. We have a website to know.
So with some countries, there are certain requirements. Are Americans, for example, or foreigners able to purchase any type of property in Taiwan, or is it restricted to residential, commercial? Are we restricted from buying agricultural properties or industrial properties? What are the restrictions for foreign buyers?
Yes, we have residential, commercial, like retail or industrial. We have send the product in United States. Yeah, we have a.
And for purchasers that are looking to invest in Taiwan, is there a requirement that we file some application with a government agency, or I believe there's the alien registration card that we have to apply for? Is that something that is required before you purchase a property?
Yeah.
And is that something that we do before we get to Taiwan, or is that something that you recommend we do at the time that we're in the closing process?
Yeah, we have the governance department. Yeah, so we have so when the consumer foreigner people they from foreigner, so they can have the choice from our government department from the land. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. And once we're in the process of making an offer, how does that process work? What is the process of making an offer and putting down a deposit, for example, in Taiwan? I'm not sure. Is it the same as in the United States?
The buyer post the price he intend to purchase and sign the offer document. There are two types of offer documents in Taiwan. The difference is whether the buyer has not paid earnest money. Both are legal effective, but the payment of earnest money is more common.
So a cash deal is more common. Is that a cash
Right.
deal? So obtaining finance is that a difficult endeavor in Taiwan, whether you're Taiwanese or whether you're a foreign buyer? Getting a mortgage is not standard practice or not recommended?
You can use the bank check, a bank check, or the wireless. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of getting a mortgage in Taiwan, how easy is it to get a mortgage, and what do they require? For example, in the United States, they're going to look at your income, they're going to look at your debt to income ratio, they're going to look at your credit history. Do they have that in Taiwan? What is the process of getting qualified for financing?
Yes, we have for foreigner they buy property in Taiwan. They must have a long-term residence certificate and working experience to make loan assessment. And some bank will require national residing the country as co-borrower or guarantors.
Mm-hmm.
The general loan condition will be stricter than the locals. Generally, the maximum loan percentage for foreigner is 60% of the purchase price. Currently, the interest rate is around 1.31% to 1.5%. So it's very low than American, yeah.
Oh, that is very low. And so basically, if you're looking at a 40% down payment at least, and chances are you're going to need someone from Taiwan who can guarantee the loan as a co-borrower.
Yeah, co-borrower. Maybe the company. Oh.
Okay. And when we're ready, let's say we have our financing together, or maybe we have cash, it'll be a cash purchase. Walk us through the steps of making the offer. What happens first? How do we go about making the offer? What documents are signed? When is a deposit paid?
Yeah, we have documents for the buyer. Yeah. Yeah, it's a like American offer. Yeah, it's the same the process. Yeah.
Okay, and a deposit is made in the beginning stage, at the beginning stage, or do we have to wait for something to happen? Do we have to wait? Do we have to contact the attorneys first? Is it the agent that draws up the offer? Is it the attorney that draws up a contract? In certain parts of the United States, for example, it's the agent. that actually draws up the offer in the form of a standard form contract. How does that work in Taiwan?
It's agent will drop the contract to the seller. Yeah, when the seller is agreed this transaction, so we can have like an attorney to process the transaction. Yeah.
And who are the parties to the transaction? Obviously, we have a buyer, we have a seller. We need an attorney, presumably, as you mentioned. Is there a notary? Does a notary hold a special position in Taiwan like it does in certain other parts of the world? For example, in the United States, the notary serves a very basic function to just assure that you are who you say you are. But the attorney doesn't have a larger function here. I'm sorry, the notary doesn't have a greater function here in the United States. It's basically the bank, the loan officer, the attorney. One of them usually will notarize the documents, a closing agent. Who are the parties that we'll be dealing with in Taiwan? And how do we go about finding an attorney or a notary or a title company, for example?
Okay. In Taiwan, buyers and the sellers agents and managing brokers. We have in Escrow company and the judicial scrivener. Yeah, judicial scrivener is a term used to refer to similar legal professional in Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. Judicial scriveners assistant clients in commercial and real estate registration procedures and in preparation of documents for litigation.
And so once we've engaged is that someone that's hired by the buyer? Is the judicial scrivener someone that's hired by the buyer or by the seller, or is it someone that's provided by the bank, or who brings the judicial scrivener into the transaction?
In Taiwan, buyer can have their judicial scrivener, and the seller they can have, but in generally we have one judicial scrivener. Yeah, we just have one. But both sides, if they want, they can have each judicial scrivener.
Okay. And once we get an accepted offer and we start to bring in some of these other parties, what are some of the things that we need to look out for? In the United States, for example, we do our due diligence by bringing in a title company. They're going to look at the property and the history of the property. They want to make sure there are no liens, that there are no encumbrances on the property. Is there a similar process that we go through in Taiwan?
Yeah, in Taiwan, we have a escrow company. So escrow company, we have a judicial scrivener. So when the buyer and the seller, they have a make deal, and they have a transaction. So escrow company, they can do this process. Yeah. So it's very simple in Taiwan. Very simple.
I see. And what is generally the timeline that we're looking at? Let's say we've identified the property, we've made an offer, and it was accepted. What is the typical timeline for a closing? Obviously, there are issues that can come about, but a normal, typical transaction, what would be the timeline from beginning to end?
So the timing from a country signing to closing is around 30 to 40 days. Yeah, so it's very quickly.
Very quick. And in terms of in terms of investing in the property, I mean, there are many people who might be interested in buying a property in Taiwan because they have family there or they just love being there. If you're an investor, for example, what are some of the restrictions that we need to know about in terms of rent regulation, in terms of how we can evict someone? Talk to us a little bit about what we would encounter as an investor if we were to purchase a property and with the goal of renting it out. Are there certain things that we need to look out for and consider as investors?
Yeah. Eligibility of foreigner to buy a house in Taiwan is based on the principle of equality and reciprocity of both countries. There are currently 77 countries in which there are equal and reciprocal.
Yes, and it seems that Taiwan actually has a very strong regulations when it comes to anti-discrimination laws, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that when we're looking to purchase a property in Taiwan, are there restrictions for investors? Are there things that we should know about as investors if we have an issue with the tenant who doesn't pay rent, for example? What's the process like for dealing with that particular issue? Are there tight restrictions on what we can do as investors?
Yeah. We have arbitration or the code to process this property. Yeah, but it is very seldom to happen. Yeah.
Okay. And as an investor, for example, or even as someone who maybe I have a second home in Taiwan, yeah. Obviously it's going to cost me money to buy the property, but what is it going to cost me to own the property? There are taxes, I'm sure, there's insurance. What are some of the costs of ownership of the property?
In Taiwan, in general, the taxation during the holding the period of Taiwan is very low, about 0.1% of the marketing price of the house, which leads to 80% home ownership rate in Taiwan. We know the tax rate during the holding period in the United States is about 1% to 3% of the marketing price of the house. So in Taiwan, our property tax is very low.
Very low. And when we're looking at the cost of purchasing the property, for example, obviously, we're always very interested in what is the price, but we have our closing costs, right? I mean, in Taiwan, we have a deed tax, a stamp duty, right? We have registration fees. What are some of the fees that we pay for that during that closing for the purpose of purchasing the property? And how much are those fees? How much can we expect to pay if we're purchasing a property in Taiwan? How much would we expect to pay in closing costs? Okay.
Now in Taiwan, we have a house and the land transactions income tax to amendment. So maybe this year, July, we have the new tax to amendment. This house and the land transaction income is introduced in 2016 to govern capital gain on the sale of the real property. So now we have the tax rate of residents is held less than 2 years is 45%, and held more than 2 years but less than 5 years is 35%. Held more than 5 years but less than 10 years is 20%. But for foreigner investor, their tax rate is for non-residents. So held less than 2 years is 45%, and held more than 2 years is 35%. So it's a very heavy than before.
So if I make a profit on the sale of my property and I've held it for more than 2 years as a non-resident, I would be looking at a 35% capital tax.
Yeah, capital gain, yeah.
Okay. And what about some of the fees for buying the property? For example, the registration fees or the deed taxes that we pay. Are those significant? Do those add significantly to the cost of the closing?
Oh, when the foreigner people that buy, we have a contract tax. Yeah, only have contract tax. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of purchasers, for example, are there any requirements as a foreign buyer? Are there any other restrictions? I know, for example, in Taiwan, there may be some restrictions on how many properties you could buy per year if you're coming from mainland China, for example. That restriction may not exist if you're coming from Australia. Are there certain restrictions depending on where you come from?
Only mainland China, yeah.
Okay. And so basically, if you're coming from a different country, as long as there's some sort of reciprocity between the two countries, Taiwan will treat you in the same way in terms of what you can purchase and how.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about, whether there's something like a golden visa program in Taiwan? Is there such a program in Taiwan if you're a foreign investor?
We don't. Taiwan does not have a golden visa program similar to the European Union. Yeah, we don't have. Yeah.
Okay, and you bring up CIPS in the next the bottom of your slide there, and that's a good question. Obviously, as someone who's been involved, with FIAPSI and international realtors, you're aware of the CIPS designation. There are no CIPS in Taiwan. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, because before Taiwan people, we also buy overseas property. Yeah, so we don't have the CIPS in Taiwan before. Yeah, we only have a CCIM. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And what is in terms of people buying in Taiwan, where do you see most of your foreign buyers coming from? Are they coming from the United States? Are they coming from Southeast Asia? Where are these buyers coming from?
Some is United States, and some is from Japan, and some from mainland China. Maybe they have they engaging to Taiwan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the regions where they're looking at, are they focusing on Taipei? Are they focusing on Kaohsiung? Are they focusing on certain parts of Taiwan for certain reasons?
The focusing in Taipei. Yeah.
In Taipei. Okay.
Yeah, in Taipei, and some maybe a little in outside Taipei city. Maybe Taichung or maybe Kaohsiung. Yeah, yeah. But the Taipei is more. Yeah.
And in your experience, how often do you find you're being referred to clients from American real estate professionals? And what is the process for referral fees and honoring referral fees?
Referral fee. Before we have Taiwanese people, they go to United States. So the referral fee is about 25%. Yeah. In before. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said? I think we lost you there for a moment.
Oh, sorry. I say in before we have a referral Taiwan people. They go to the United States to buy property. So so we can in Taiwan agent broker we can get the transaction 25% commission. Yeah, it's called a referral fee.
Okay, and as a CIPS, obviously we have a certain training, certain things that we look for, certain experiences. Obviously when we refer a client to someone in another country, we want someone with experience, with someone with knowledge, someone obviously that we can trust. What type of due diligence do you do if when we refer someone to you as a Taiwanese real estate professional? What type of due diligence do you do for our clients, for our foreign buyers?
Yeah, we do DD. Yeah, when foreign people they come to Taiwan, or whether they inbound or outbound. Yeah, yeah, we do DD. Yeah.
And I'm sure, like in the United States, for example, there are things that we need: property insurance, for example, title insurance. Those are things that in Taiwan, the real estate professional is going to guide our clients on those issues. Correct? Those are things that you would inform us as to what we would need if we're going to be buying real estate in Taiwan.
Oh, we don't have there is mandatory required for insurance for Taiwan real estate transaction, but generally commercial real estate will be insured. Yeah.
Interesting. So if there's, for example, if there's a typhoon and it destroys your house, so a bank won't require that you have insurance. It's optional. It's optional.
Right. In 10 years ago, we don't have the insurance for residential, but after but recently, for example, 5 years or 3 years ago, we have a typhoon and the earthquake. So our residential property, we also have insurance. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And so I want you to tell us just a little bit. We like to focus on the closing process. We want to educate, our professionals about the closing process in Taiwan. But can you tell us a little bit about the environment right now in Taiwan for investors? Are they focusing on a certain type of an investment? Are you getting buyers who are more interested in residential properties, second homes, vacation homes? Who are your typical foreign buyers, and what are their goals?
In Taiwan, if foreign people they want to purchase the property, we will suggest maybe the office marketing is good. Office marketing, yeah.
Okay, And one of the questions we were talking a little bit about referral fees.
Yeah.
Do you also collect referral fees, with respect to CCIM?
Yeah.
You do. Okay.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah.
And typically, what is your process when you agree to a referral fee? Is there usually a document, a form, a contract, something in writing? How do you typically work that? Or how is it customary to enter into a sort of referral agreement with another real estate professional in another country?
It's regarding our consumer when they buy for example, when they buy a commercial property in the United States, so we can have there are diligence and some service to our customer. Yeah. So we can refer our customer to the United States CCIM Disney. So we can cooperation together. So when we make a deal or the transaction is finished, so we can they usually share maybe 25% commission to Taiwan CCIM Disney. Yeah.
Okay. And I want to take a little bit of time right now to open up the conversation to some of the other guests on the program. Yeah. And I know that they might have some specific questions that maybe you can help answer for them. Would that be okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So if we have any specific questions, I know Tahir Qureshi from Toronto, who's having his own program in a couple of days, I believe, right?
Yes, I have a go. Hi, thank you, Tony. Yes, tomorrow I have my second global connectivity conference tomorrow with CIPS.
And, great, fantastic. Looking forward to it.
And yeah, we last time we have about 63 countries represented that first conference, so it's growing.
Fantastic.
I just put some couple of comments there. And I talked to the regulator in Toronto because there was an influx of foreigners coming to Toronto, and also Toronto Registrar, we call them Registrar in Canada, Ontario. They're helping people to buy property overseas. And what are the obligations, how their rights is protected, how you are giving advice to your client. For example, if I refer a client to Taiwan, and if I'm collecting a referral fee, the consumer is relying on my advice. So I have an obligation to do a due diligence, and what steps that I have to take to make sure there are consumer protection laws there. First of all, if there is no consumer protection law, then as a CIPS, if I'm referring my client to somebody, CIPS in Taiwan will be a challenge, since I understand they don't have it. And then we got to have independent due diligence process, that we may have to hire a local lawyer to do the due diligence, the client that I will recommend to Jack or to Taiwan. That is very important key, because if the consumer, for example, trust deposit, do they have a trust deposit to protect the buyer if they decided to change their mind and don't fulfill their agreement of purchase and sale? What happens? Is there some system there, Taiwan? So there are a lot of questions. I recommend that Jack should put together a buyer orientation program. If somebody is looking to buy in Taiwan, give a list of things, the process that you indicated, Tony, write it down and share with everybody. And that way we will be able to see if we refer someone, if there is no CIPS, I will have a challenge because I'm not a CCIM. So how we overcome that before we make recommendation. So these are the couple of things that have come to my mind, that my obligation, collecting a money creates understanding with the consumer that I am doing some kind of a due diligence to recommend someone to Taiwan.
Mhm.
And I am held accountable in Ontario. Therefore, as a CIPS, I only make recommendation CIPS because I know CIPS is following same protocol, regulatory culture, ethics, and professionalism. So I will not be able to recommend anybody to Taiwan unless I know there is a system of due diligence there. And this is, I want to share with you.
Thank you.
Mr.
I
Wong,
got a question for Jack.
oh, yes.
Yes, okay. Let's say that you are no a CCIM designee, but usually we work over here in United States in teams, and you have one CCIM designee in your team. Can you collect the referral fee through that person? You hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Go.
If you pay the referral fee through another team member in the United States that is a CCIM designee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Mr. Qureshi brings up a good point about escrow, as we call it. What is the escrow process in Taiwan? If money goes into escrow and something happens in the transaction, somebody defaults in the contract. There's a contract provision that's broken, for example. Somebody defaults, one of the buyer or the seller. What happens to the money that is in earnest deposit in the escrow account?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In Taiwan, we have an escrow system. Yeah, so the escrow system will protect the buyer and the seller. Yeah, yeah. So it's very maturity in Taiwan. Yeah, very maturity. Yeah.
Okay, and that escrow account, who holds the escrow account? Is it typically the brokerage firm? Is it the attorney? Is it the judicial scrivener? Who's holding that in escrow? Where is that escrow account held?
Banker.
Okay, so it's held with the bank. It's held
Yeah, bank.
with the bank, and in whose account? Is it the attorney's account or the account of the brokerage firm, or is it the lender's account? Which bank is holding that escrow on whose behalf?
The account is the bank holder bank. Yeah. The bank holder account. Yeah.
Okay. And I think, I wanted to take a few minutes. I know we're almost out of time with just a few minutes left. If anyone else has any other questions for Mr. Wong, I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Yeah.
Okay. Otherwise, I want to thank you, Mr. Wong, for taking the time to be with us today. We really appreciate the education that you gave us on investing in Taiwan. It's a beautiful place, and I gained 20 pounds when I was there 2 years ago, and I still haven't gotten rid of it. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place, and I want to thank you for sharing that with us. And I wanted to just take a few minutes to tell everyone a little bit more about some of the events that we're having. We're going to be, first of all, if you're interested in getting more information about our Global Business Council, our website is www.hgar.com/Global Business Council. You can find information on our website about our future events, links to our prior global business chats, which include episodes on India, Brazil, Nigeria, Nicaragua, Portugal, and other countries. You will find this global business chat from today on our website in the next couple of days as well. You'll also find our newsletters, useful calculators, global business reports, and much, much more. You'll also find a calendar of future events that we'll be updating. We will be having a special class or webinar on FIRPTA, the Foreign Investment in Real Property Tax Act. That's going to be coming up soon. So we're going to have more information on that. And we're also going to be presenting a webinar or a session with our Global Cooperating Association in Portugal. That's going to happen in June or July. So definitely look out for that. We have a really strong relationship with our sister association in Portugal. Also, one of our big events coming up this year will be on September 30th. That's going to be our 15th annual Global Real Estate Summit. That's going to be taking place at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in New York City, subject, of course, to any pandemic restrictions. Hopefully, we'll be opened up more at that time that we'll be able to hold the event in person. But this event is going to be co-sponsored by numerous realtor organizations throughout the New York City metropolitan region, including in New Jersey, Long Island, Westchester, Manhattan. Also, we're looking at also in Connecticut. So it's a major regional event. We're also inviting associations throughout the country that hopefully will be able to participate with us, not just to come to see the event itself or to hear the speakers, but to actually participate. Our goal this year is to try to get real estate associations from key parts of the United States who will actually have a table, represent the region that they're from, and make this event truly a more global event. That event is going to be held immediately following NAR's C5 Summit, which is a huge event that is being promoted by NAR. That's scheduled from September 27th through September 29th, also at the Marriott Marquis. And our event is going to follow that on the next day in the same hotel, in the same room. So it's going to be a fantastic event, a 4-day event, if you want to include both of them. So we hope that you're going to join us. And if you want to join us for our next global chat, it's going to be on Tuesday, June 15th, when we're going to discuss the anatomy of a real estate transaction in France. So please join us for that as well. Okay, so thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event. And if you have any questions, feel free to please email us, and we can provide you with a copy of this slide presentation that Mr. Wang created, and also give you a link to our global chat recording. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And for those of you who are on our Global Business Council, we're actually going to be having a meeting immediately following this presentation. So if you can go to the other link that you were sent in the, I believe, is that right, Kathleen? We have to go to the separate link, correct?
Yep, that was sent.
You should have
Thank you.
by email to our meeting. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Enjoy the
Thank
rest
you.
of the
Bye.
week.
Bye for now.